Hey everyone, it's Mr. Souther coming at you with a salary and overtime pay lesson. Actually, we already did overtime pay, so this is only going to be about salaries. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing we need to know is up until this point, we've been talking about hourly and overtime pay. So this is assuming that you get a wage based on how many hours you work. So when you're in salary, what's really wonderful about it is that you don't really have to worry about a set amount of hours that you work to get paid for every hour. Um, What's going to happen though is that regardless of how many hours you work, you will get a fixed amount of money, which I have in the notes. And it's going to be regardless of, again, the number of hours you work. The number of hours worked. And so, for example, for me, I'm a teacher. All of us teachers are salaried. So let's say my income was $85,000 a year for the salary. Then I can put as little time as I want. I just have to make sure I'm here from 7:30 till 3:30 or whatever. But really, I could work outside of that. I could work as little as possible. I could work a lot more. Just depends. Most teachers will take their work home. They have to do planning work, right? They have to try and figure out what they're teaching tomorrow or next week or next month, what tests they're going to have. So we put in a lot of hours outside of work. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I put in 60 hours or 100 hours, I'm still going to get paid the same. Okay, so let me go through some terminology here because we're going to get paid weekly, biweekly, semi-monthly, or monthly. As teachers, we get paid once a month or monthly at the end of the month. So for fixed, that terminology just means that the dollar amount is the same. So the dollar amount is the same or doesn't change. So a lot of times you might hear people who have retired just say, "Oh, I'm on a fixed income." What they're trying to say is that they get a pension, such as Social Security, every month, and it doesn't change. So no matter what they do, they're just going to get paid $2,000 a month. So typically people say that because they're trying to tell you like, hey, I don't have a ton of money to spend, like to go on a cruise or vacation or Disneyland twice a week. Biweekly, just to clarify that, this is going to be once every other week. Or in other words, once every other week or once every 2 weeks. Semi-monthly, just to clarify that again, that's going to be twice per month. I think most jobs that I've seen tend to pay semi-monthly. So, they pay on the 15th and the 30th of the month, but at the end of the day, it's twice a month. Gross pay you're going to need to know is this is the amount you get paid before any deductions. So it's your pay amount before deductions. And in parentheses, I'll put taxes. So if you worked 10 hours and you got paid $100 an hour, let's say, then your gross pay is $1,000. Right. But you and I both know that we don't get the full $1,000 because Uncle Sam needs to take their taxes out from it. Okay, so I'm giving you a quick formula. So the annual salary is going to be that gross pay per period times the number of pay periods in a year. That's what you need to know. So let's go through some examples and then because you're going to have to solve for some of these as well. So the example one. So in 2030, Misal is a high school teacher and a soccer coach. His annual gross salary is that $54,000 amount. What is his biweekly gross salary? I'm going to use the word gross salary, gross income a lot because we're not worried about taxes right now. We're going to learn that next week. So what I need to know is once every other week or once every 2 weeks, how much is Misal getting paid? Okay. So what I'm going to do first step is I'm going to go ahead and figure out how many pay periods are in here. So again, I'm looking at this formula. The annual salary, which we already know, is equal to the gross pay per pay period times the number of pay periods in a year. So first thing I need to do is solve this puzzle. I have the annual salary. I'm trying to figure out the gross pay per pay period. We can actually figure out the number of pay periods in a year. So that's what I'm going to figure out. So number of pay periods. How do we find that? So remember, it's once every other week. So I'm going to take the number of weeks there are in a year. See, we have 52 weeks in a year, right? And I'm going to divide that by two because we're getting paid once every other week. And that's going to give me 26 pay periods. Now for my second step, right? So now I know let's just set up the formula. Let's go back to a little bit of algebra. So that's 54,440 equals my gross pay per period. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So let's go ahead and call that X for old time's sake. And that's going to be multiplied by the number of pay periods in a year. I just solved for that, which is 26, right? So so in other words, just to kind of put this back into more algebra 1 terms, right? X times 26 is the same thing as 26x. So if I had 26x equals 54,000, how do you solve for x? You would divide both sides by 26, and then boom, you get the value. I'm just going to use my calculator real quick, and that should be, it's going to be $2,093. And if I round, it's 85 cents. And there you go. So in terms of gross pay, so without taking taxes out or anything like that, Misao can expect to get a paycheck of $2,093 every 2 weeks, once every 2 weeks. You might be asking, Southern, what's the difference between biweekly pay and like semi-monthly pay, right? So semi-monthly pay means you're getting paid twice per month. So your pay periods is actually the amount of times you're going to get a check every year, right? Because remember, there's 12 months in a year. If you're getting paid twice a month, then you're going to get 24 payments. Biweekly, though, you actually get paid 26 times a year, as you saw with the math, not 24. So there's a big difference there. All right, so moving right along, there's a bunch of stuff you're going to do to solve. I'm going to go to Southern example 2. Oh, I guess there isn't a Southern example 2. My bad. So that's it. Let's go ahead and work on this and then call me over when you need help.